Hello, everybody. This is Carsten Heilmann speaking, LuraTech. Welcome to our webinar about 1 year of mobile scanning with LuraTech. There's still quite a number of people dialing in at this moment, and we're also still waiting for quite a number of people, but we are already over time for the promised start today, so I can very well do that right now. As always, allow a technical hint. I am here, the presenter today, and I will look out for questions that you might have throughout the webinar. You can type that into the GoToWebinar control panel. There is a section called questions, and it will pop up on my screen here. And when I manage to actually see it, I try to answer every question that you might have in line. I can just really only encourage you to ask your questions so that we can make this a productive session for everybody. If I miss a question, I try to answer them after the presentation part of the webinar in the end, and go through the questions with a couple of answers for that. So just make sure you type them in whenever you have any questions. Okay, this webinar is meant to give you a little bit of an update on what happened. We launched the mobile PDF products here at LuraTech more than a year ago, 1.5 years ago almost, and went through several projects in the meantime, learned some lessons, and that's what I want to share as a couple of anecdotes throughout the presentation of what the product or the product family really is about. The audience today is a little mixed. There's a lot of users of our tools, well-known tools like the PDF compressor out here. I don't think there's actually that many users of the mobile PDF technology, and that's why I'm going to start this by introducing on what the product family is and what we originally thought when we brought this to market, what the original concept really is. Concept addresses a fact that's just happening. We address companies, corporate users as our customers with the product family, as we have to solve a specific problem that is just growing almost day by day for those companies. And what it is about is what we all know, what everybody of us is really doing. We, as consumers out there, we as users out there, start to no longer take our mail physically in paper to the post office and send it somewhere. We all start to digitize, quote unquote, our documents by taking our smartphones wherever possible. So every day there's somebody saying, oh, you got this document, can you please send me a photo of it? And it's not just in the everyday buddies sending each other documents with smartphone photos to each other, but it is really also that customers of larger organizations, especially B2C organizations having a large customer base, those customers start to send necessary documents, applications, ID copies, some forms, whatever, no longer as physical mail, but they start sending it as JPEG attachments, one per page, probably many JPEG attachments to emails. Find any email of a company, send it there. We're all lazy. We're all like that it is going fast and quick. And what's bad about it? It's good to have things off my desk, to have things fixed without having to go to the post office. But on the receiving side, this causes all kinds of headache. On the receiving side, those companies getting those email attachments instead of physical mail and physical paper run into all kinds of problems, because for the time being, they receive physical mail and they have mail rooms, or there are service companies having infrastructure that is organized to generate high quality scans, high quality images of documents. And then they have OCR and classification engines and whole factories for automatically working on documents running there and automatically recognizing documents and so running there. But these these tools are completely dependent on image quality. And smartphone photos, when you get them, are really poor in terms of image quality. You have all kinds of distortions, all kinds of reduced resolutions, and a lot of other problems probably sitting in there. And the real problem those companies face is that there is no longer a high rate of automatic unattended processing, but there is all of a sudden, with all of these email attachments that are quote unquote scanned by their consumers, there is 100% of manual work required to classify those documents. We as humans can read those documents perfectly and can say, this is an application, this is an ID, this is form X, form Y, and can do that. But the OCR and the classification engines can't if the quality is just not good enough. And that's what we are addressing with the mobile PDF products we have at LuraTech. So we have an offering that is catered to companies who want to get rid of this problem by just, and that's our suggestion, embracing the trend. The trend is people want to use their smartphones to send in additional documents. So why not move forward, take the step and allow people to digitize their documents with the smartphone, but, and that's our suggestion, offering it as an app by your company, giving your company a very good image with that, and a very good reputation, and people will like you as a modern company. But you use it in the same moment to generate scans now with smartphones that are controlled and managed in terms of the required image quality for later automatic processing on the user's smartphone. That's the basic idea. Yeah, we did that for a year now, and we have seen server projects, and here's a couple of examples that I just want to use to explain the difficulties. This is looking decent, I'd say, pretty nice. It is something that you would take your smartphone out, take a photo, send it somewhere, call it a scan. You see there's some parts of it is showing a tabletop instead of a document. Not a big deal. Some part of it are distorted and especially not really properly aligned. When you see the upper right corner of this document, there is lines that are curves now. OCRs don't like that a lot. But actually, this is a smartphone photo that is one of the better smartphone photos with less problems. Also, you see this three-dimensional distortion and skewing and probably also reduced resolution because there's more table on it than it should be, using our pixels that we rather spent for the document itself. Another example is, and this is practical. I made this example, but this is happening every day. And that's giving me, or that's my argument in saying we can't fix this smartphone scanning problems in our sophisticated mailrooms or service company software. We can add as many document imaging algorithms as we want into our, say, mailroom solution or scanning solution or something like that. It won't help in the end, because when you take a look at this sample image here, you clearly see a problem. People are trying to do their paperwork in the evening, so it's dark. And you clearly see the document, especially in its corners, it's just too dark. It has a low contrast. And while we can fix that probably in our mailroom, the smartphone here actually took a measure and fired the flash. It's what smartphones do when it is too dark. And you see in the middle this reflection spot, this bright white spot in the middle. And here is where no algorithm of this world can repair something, because the text at that spot is just no longer there. It's gone. You can't repair that. And that's why I'm saying, if we're looking at working on the problem that people start digitizing with their smartphone, no matter what, we have to go to the source and offer a service, an app, let's say, where we control the quality at the source, because fixing it later is just not an option. It's just not working in 100% of the cases. It's not working in many cases. Another example is this here. That's a German form that you would file with both your employer as well as your insurance company when you report in sick. We as a company get some of them, and we can read them by just looking at them, and that's good enough for us. We understand how long our employee will be sick when he returns. On the other hand, health insurance companies get hundreds of thousands of these, if not millions of these. And they have, with the old paper-based process and high-quality scanning in their own mail rooms, they have achieved a very high unattended processing, automatic classification, automatic data extraction rate. But now when people start sending in this, it's going to zero. It's going to 100% manual work then. That's a perfect example of where all of a sudden a new trend that is just, you can't stop it. The new trend is there, and companies face a big issue with that. Making the perfect point on why we developed our mobile scanning with smartphones products in the first place. So what did we do? What do we offer? It's basically three products in this family here. Number one is LuraTech PDF Scanner. It's an app. It's free, no ads on the Apple and Google Play app stores, and it's not a product for sale. It's a product to try out what today is possible. What is possible using our product number 2 and 3. It's something that I encourage you going to the App Store. Just download it, try it, use it for yourself and privately, which I do every day, to digitize your documents to nice looking, high quality, compressed PDF files. Just do it. Second product on the list here is our mobile compression SDK. You all, I think, in the audience know us for our compression to PDF, scanned document to PDF compression for many years, and we offer that as well on the smartphone platforms. But the third product is really the new product. That's really where we did something that is unparalleled so far, because we offer an SDK product, a modular SDK product that allows you to bring that high quality scanning with quality control in this scan app already into your own apps using this SDK. It's a rapid development style, high-level SDK that covers all the bases that you need to get covered when you want to start offering scan services with controlled quality yourself as a company. And that's the main product in this product lineup. We have that out in the market. It's also the product that we mostly use in our projects together with other customers, or where our customers use it to exactly do that, create their own scan app for their own purposes. I want to dive a little deeper into that. Again, I encourage you guys to take a look at LuraTech's PDF Scanner on the app stores. It allows multi-page scanning to PDF if you want, but also to JPEG. It supports PDFs in different formats, for example, PDF-A for those of you who need that. It has all kinds of measures to ensure that the quality is good enough. We call that on-the-fly image analysis in the camera window while you acquire an image. Our software, our document imaging know-how is built in there that actually analyzes what it sees in the camera window all the time, and then automatically fires the trigger in the moment where we understand the quality of this image, the quality of this page that is about to be scanned is good enough right now. That's when we automatically fire the trigger. Nobody has to press a button, because pressing a button would move the phone a little bit, and then already you have an unsharp image again. It has a document list in there. We can edit not only individual scans while we scan them, we can edit documents in there later on, even when they are stored already in the document list. And you know what? I'm going to show that to you in the demonstration in a couple of minutes. And for those of you who know that already, I can give you a real news here. we are in the process of rolling that technology also into our mother company's product called Foxit Mobile PDF. It's another free app on the App Store that allows for editing, converting, and producing PDF documents, viewing PDF documents in an app. And it has a lot more editing and other capabilities, so it makes complete sense to roll that together now that we are, as LuraTech, are part of the Foxit company family. This is about to be released in Q4 this year, the latest. And I'm going to give you a little glance on what that means as well in my live demonstration in a couple of minutes. Yeah, talk about the second product on the list a little bit more in detail, LuraTech Mobile Compression SDK. Again, most of you know what we are doing in terms of compression. We can compress scanned documents into very small PDF files in full color. A full color page using our compression won't be any bigger than a TIFF Group 4 file in black and white only of the same scanned page. We use JPEG 2, JPEG 2000 in there. We support output to PDF-A to U Unicode because we also support storing OCR results into there, and we also support other PDF standards and versions as they are available out there. So it's a pretty widespread range of PDF formats that you can create. We support multi-threading, so it can be very fast, and I return to that thought in the end when I talk about lessons learned in our projects a little bit more. And we do have an interface in there where we can read XML, OCR data. This SDK doesn't include an OCR engine, but it reads the results from OCR engine and can that way also create searchable and high compressed PDF or PDF-A files in full color. It also allows for basic creating, loading, saving, copying, moving, turning, a little bit of editing of PDF files in this SDK. And some of you might know our Windows-based PDF SDK, compression SDK, and this is the same offering basically on iOS and Android, just with a little easier interface, so a little easier to integrate. The product I really want to talk about, because that's the product what actually was used mostly by our customers in our project throughout the 1.5 years that we have it out in the market, there is the App Framework SDK. App Framework SDK is, as I told you before, a rapid scan app development SDK available on iOS and Android. It's not only a document imaging toolkit. That's something that we have to constantly explain when we talk about our product. Document imaging toolkits are out in the market there for mobile platforms in quite a variety. Quite a lot of them are out there. But these document imaging toolkits offer functionalities like apply filter so-and-so, or they run filter so-and-so, or they binarize a document or whatever. But that's terms and that's technologies that you, first of all, need to understand. Secondly, need to know how to apply it in what order in order to achieve a certain goal of a quality of a scanned page or something like that. We have this document imaging built into our SDK, but we have it boxed inside, for example, the camera window, just making sure the quality is good enough. Not really concerning the app developers with what kind of document imaging needs to be done in order to achieve that quality. So we don't offer the low-level filtering in there. We offer a high-level interface saying, position a camera window here, and then internally we make sure that the images will be best quality possible in that given circumstance. Scanning with a smartphone. It includes the cropping and whatnot as well. So it's a modular SDK. When we take a look at our PDF scanner in a little while, you see many different dialogues in there, a document list, document editing, document acquisition, and some more. And that can be seen as the modules that you can also then, using the App Framework SDK, in your own app that you can use modular. You can decide, I use the camera window, I don't use the document list because I have another way of storing the documents in my app already or something like that. Interesting part of it, besides that, the mobile compression SDK is obviously included here, but another interesting thing that is in part of the package of this SDK is that the LuraTech PDF scanner app that I'm going to show you is included here in source code in order to give you the best and fastest way of understanding how to use the SDK, and probably really widely copy paste the source code from the LuraTech PDF scanner for your own app, for the integration of the App Framework SDK into your own app. That's highly encouraged because it's the best way of using the SDK in parallel processing way, and so on and so forth. So let's have a look. I wanna demo it a little bit. I think it makes more clear on where we are now after 1.5 years, what we achieved, and also what the SDK product as well as the app can do for you. What you could also offer in your own app by using the SDK. Let me quickly move to, quickly is good. Let me move to this one here. That's actually a screen or a dialog. That's the interface of my iPhone that I have sitting here on my desk. And you see I have in the upper left corner the PDF scanner. It's exactly the software we're talking about. I'm going to start this right now. First, a list pops up. That's a list of recently scanned documents, a list of all the documents that you scanned. They are there as long as you want to have them there, and you can go in, look at those documents here, and something that is very specific, you can also go in there and work on these documents. Something that is really not available in other scanning apps, because most of the scanning apps are created by people who are not in the same moment a PDF company. They license a PDF SDK of sort or something like that and are happy that they can create PDF files. We can also edit them still. So I scanned a 2-pager here before, and now I can use the button on the lower left, because now I got the 3rd page, which I hadn't had available in the moment when I started to scan and started to file my paperwork. I realized after scanning so and so many pages, I miss a page. With every normal scan app, you would normally end up either saving the first 15 pages and then scanning the 16th pages tomorrow and sending out 2 files, or you would end up in scanning tomorrow again all the 16 pages in order to send it out as one file. With LuraTech PDF Scanner, you can, as I mentioned, edit the document. You will get to a document view here, and in this document view, you can still edit the document. So I push and hold this page, and I can sort it. I can delete it, which is not what I want right now. And also I can add that missing last page by taking another photo or loading an image from the photo library. Let me take another photo and show you, hopefully show you how this can do. So what I want to show is, you see that, let's put it here. You see that the document has an overlay in the very middle saying it didn't even recognize or detect a document. So it makes sure, first and foremost, when there's nothing like a document, we don't fire the trigger. Then when it starts recognizing there is a document, well, I am on a cable here, so I'm limited in my movements. Then it says, okay, there might be a document in there, but it is too far away. In other words, if we would use that now, we would end up in having too low of a DPI. Now this thing fired. It's not what I wanted. Tried my very best to get it out of the area where it can fire. This phone has a pretty big camera, pretty high camera resolution, so it fires from a distance. When we get closer, obviously in the range, you see that we scanned a pretty good document. You can Now edit that page with using all the commands on the lower side there. For example, we don't like to cut into the paper. Let me go back real quick. You see at the upper side there's a little bit of brown because we don't like to cut into the paper too deep. So we had to use the upper right corner of the document and therefore allow, because of the curved paper that is just sitting on the table, allow a little bit of background coming through. We can fix that if you like. There's this way of doing that. You have a magnifying glass to understand where you are at, because I can't see the button with my thumb being on it. And then we can also use the other one if you like. That's the left corner now. Move it to where you want. Not a big deal, but it automatically now applies the stretching to A4 again. And this document is created in a way that it is close to 300 dpi. We make sure we use a transforming factor that actually doesn't create a lot of alias. There's this anti-aliasing. I don't know what the English word is. Probably you get it. We don't see a lot of individual blocks here. When the characters are composed, we have a pretty smooth and nice looking characters in there. So we make it as close to 300 dpi as possible automatically. Other things we do automatically is, for example, automatic white balancing. That's something we added throughout the last year. Hasn't been there in the beginning. We added a lot of extra document imaging functionality in the summer last year after we released the version 1. So if you took a look at the version 1 at one time, you might want to take a look at the current version. Without white balancing, we would get a very dark document where also there's a whole lot more noise in the background, which is not good for OCR results. With white balancing, we get a pretty good document, pretty good looking document under the given circumstances. I'm going to hit next. I could take another picture, or I could go back to the document, which I do now. And you see now we have a 3-pager. We can save it as a PDF, or we can still save it at this point again as JPEG series. So a series of JPEG as a multi-page document. What we want to do is JPEG, save it on the same name, and now it is an updated 3-pager document. The missing page is added to it. Okay, the other way of doing it is actually hitting the blue plus button at the very top, create document. And I'm using the same document right now. Going closer, you see the overlay again. It says hold still. That's the most difficult task for me. Scanned it in. I'm going to also scan, take a next picture, because this document actually has 2 pages. I turn it around, hold still, and if you do it right, it also is, if you don't shake too much with your hand like I do, it also is pretty quick. To do this again so that you can see, hold still. Bam, here we go. Nice picture. Hit next, hit save as PDF, use the default name, which is just basically a timestamp, hit done, and we're done. Now what we ended up with is a full color 300 dpi document, and you see it's 180 kilobytes. It's really highly compressed, and it has a very good quality anyway. That's what we do. Now the document is ready. We can send it out. What you could do is you can send it by email right from here. And it is an attachment to an email, and it is not a Dropbox link or some kind of other cloud stuff or something like that. I personally prefer to be able to send back something where somebody asks me, send me this document as a real email attachment. That's what's going to happen here. Don't need that email any longer. Second thing, what you can do is you can use the iOS or Android on the other world share functionality and use OpenWith. And that's what I'm doing, because I was talking about Foxit Mobile PDF, and I'm going to open it in this blue Foxit Mobile PDF app now. It goes over there. I'm going to show you this because I told you we will integrate with this application still in this year, giving you additional options. So first, here are our 2 pages. And let's say this is an offer, I want to countersign. We can quickly do that by pushing my thumb on a position. You see that where I want to write something, and I could, for example, write accepted here. Okay, done. And next thing I want to do is hit the same position again and say I want to sign this. Now this signature is pre-stored, can be several of those. I can align that a little bit so that it matches. Put my signature in here and say sign. And it asks me whether I want to change the document. Obviously, I want to do that. And now this proposal is accepted. And when we go back to the list, it's here. The first one in the list, it's the 16:29:57 seconds document. And from here, I can hit those three buttons, share it by email, and again, send it out in a signed version. So I think you understand it makes sense to roll these two applications together. Good news for you, both are free to use. Both are free to use from the App Store as a download. And you can all personally do that. If you want to do that on corporate level, talk to us. If you want to support something like that, for example, your expense reports or something like that, just talk to us. Okay, that's about for the demo part. Let's go back to the slide set. Talking about the product a little more, we also updated the architecture a little bit in the last year, and we are now in the position to really offer a complete modular application. You might see some of the terms here, for example, device camera, capture service, enhanced image processing in here. Those are the modules I was talking about that you can use or not in your own application, that you can of course customize on the level of colors and look and feel. Yeah, to create an app that has the same high level scan quality, high compressed PDF if you want, but 100% looks like your own app on the App Store. Another thought talking about the architecture is something we learned through the last year. So we started offering this product, these products, the App Framework SDK especially, as an iOS version and an Android version. When you take a look at this little graphic that I added here, of course, there's no doubt that we, on the lower part of it, close to the hardware, lower part of the slide here, have to have specific iOS or Android implementations. Why is that? Yeah, think about it. There is obviously different programming languages, obviously different operating system with different ways of doing things, but also we in our application, in our App Framework SDK, make sure that we understand the hardware landscape that is out there. If we want to acquire high quality images, we have to understand what the camera's capabilities are. And in order to understand that, you need to know where you are. So if, for example, I am on an Samsung Galaxy 3 something, 4.5 years old, we know the camera resolution is relatively limited compared to today's devices, and we know that we need to control in our overlays that we present in a way that we drive the user much closer to the document in order to achieve our 300 dpi that we need to get good OCR and recognition results. Then, for example, if you would be on a Nexus device that came out 2 weeks ago or something like that, where you have a 12 megapixel camera in there, and then you can allow to fire from a much larger distance. And even in that case, we would drill down a little bit on resolution, because it doesn't really make a lot of sense. It creates a lot of data, but it doesn't help in recognition, ending up with a 600 dpi document. It's just a waste of space, so we don't need that, and therefore we need to know specifics. Other specifics we need is especially needed in the very fragmented Android market. There is all kinds of devices having their own flaws. Some devices deliver the images always upside down. Some devices deliver it with inverted colors. Some devices have problems with monitoring and controlling the light, the LED flashlight in there that we use not as a flash, but as an ambient light. Therefore, we need to exactly know and have hardware or operating system dependencies. We bracket that though with the App Framework SDK that is containing all the device independent components as well. And then you can have an interface, App Framework SDK iOS, App Framework SDK Android, and you can create an iOS app, an Android app on top of that. The trend in the market turned out to be a lot different. So very early last year after release 1, we also started to offer so-called Xamarin bindings. And what's that again? Xamarin is a cross-platform deployment tool set, let's say. So the trend today is you create an app and you only create it one time, and you can have this app running using Xamarin as a unifying interface, let's say, can have it running on several different mobile operating systems. And therefore, we also offer Xamarin binding so that you can use our SDK from calling Xamarin apps for cross-platform deployment. That's how it's called. Very important step, because with rare exceptions where we had one special interest where an app was only to be deployed on one operating system, I guess it was Android. The others who wanted to deploy it on server platform, most of them use Xamarin. So that's why we had to offer it, and that's why also I think it's an interesting lesson to learn if you are planning to offer an app yourself. Then throughout the year, we also came through many projects, and most of the project had some kind of interaction with an internet, a cloud-based offering. Cloud-based is not always public cloud like Dropbox, but it could be private clouds like an insurance company, IT infrastructure, or something like that. So when you take a look at this image here, you see your app in red is running on those Android or iOS devices based on our App Framework SDK. And for example, I go back one slide, 2 slides. For example, instead of looking at the lower left part of the chart here, instead of saving and loading documents from the device storage, it's modular, it's optional, you can do it or not. You could, for example, instead of that, call a service client and then just use a web service communicating over the internet with your own storage. You could store, for example, say those applications, those documents that customers send us are stored in their My Company user space that you offer for your customers to store their document, the electronic file or record, customer file that you have there. It could be stored instead of the device locally. And the most impressive implementation we went through last year by one of our customers or users was actually making use of this connection to back-end software from a mobile app in a back and forth kind of way, in an interactive kind of way. So what actually you can do is use those document-based business processes for document-based customer interaction. So a customer scans a document, and this document in most cases kicks off a business process, a specific business process in your company. So what happened here is after scanning the document in, it was sent to the server for automatic OCR, but not full text OCR as we know it for searchability, but OCR to read specific form fields, data extraction basically. In order to, and that's another nice idea, I think, in order to save on the amount of data that needs to be transferred between the client and the server, although the LTE networks are fast, but this and compression and other measures mean that we have to save on, that we can save the user his monthly megabytes or gigabytes that he has available. See, we don't want to waste that for just one time communicating with the customer by just sending back and forth too much data. So in this case, as you know, we do this compression after scanning. We create a compressed PDF file, and most of you are familiar with our compression schema. It's a layered compression, and the middle layer is a black and white extract of the document. And that's probably the smallest possible representation of the scanned document. And what this customer did is sending this black and white document only to the server, using it there for extracting the relevant data of this using OCR technologies automatically without user interaction on the company's side. Then sending back over the internet just an XML record with the extracted results. We in the app again took this XML record and later on in the process create a searchable high compressed color scanned document PDF file. But in the first step, the extracted data was presented in kind of forms, in kind of fields on a page in the app to the user, asking him the question, is that what you wanted to tell us? Is that correctly recognized, in other words? Nice idea, because the customer in that moment takes off the workload from the company by correcting OCR results. Normally that's done with quality assurance in the companies. In this case, it's mirrored back to the customer. The customer corrects it as much as you want if there is a missed character or something like that, and then sends, yes, this it is. This is it. That moment, we create a PDF file with the data in it and display it again to the customer. In this case, the customer could even sign off using his finger on the document, and then the complete document, including signature, was sent back to the corporate archive and also stored in the app as a receipt for the user. I think that's a pretty nice idea and a pretty good concept of integrating mobile and cloud. And using our App Framework SDK, you can actually do things like that because the image quality is good enough, even though it is acquired on a smartphone. Now, the other thing that came up is the timing. Can we do that? Is it fast enough? Can we create a good user experience when we do things like that? And yes, we investigate a lot around networks, network reliability, and of course, when the network is really slow, it all gets slow. But in that moment, the user understands my network is slow and accepts a little bit more time. The moment the network is fast, though, things have to go very fast, instantaneously. Even if you upload something to a server, recognize it there, reflect it back, it has to go very fast. And we went through several projects, and what we understand now is we are fast enough, for sure, and absolutely we are fast enough. When you take a look at these charts here, or these tables, the green numbers are the ones that we need to compare. The upper table is something that is out of our standard documentation that we use every day. And that is the really measured time it takes to run the compression on a 300 dpi file on a server grade or production grade server. The CPU is mentioned there, Xeon processor, 64 cores, real big machine, and we end up using 2.0 seconds for a color 300 dpi page to do, for example, the compression. On a mobile device, now how fast is it? We know, we measured it again, we have a wide variety of computational power in these different devices. We have two almost extremes here. We use an iPhone 4S, that's very old, and we use an iPhone 6, not the latest generation 6S with the A9 CPU, but an iPhone 6 with the A8 CPU in there. Both of them are very powerful, and you see that on the iPhone 4S, it's slower than our server, 2.78 seconds per approximately 300 dpi image. But on an iPhone 6, guess what? It's even faster than our server-grade CPU, 1.85 seconds, below 2 seconds. So everything sounds like, yeah, no problem, let's just do it. But we had implementations where people were not using the sample code as we offer it with our SDK package. So remember, when you get the App Framework SDK package, the LuraTech PDF Scanner app is included in source code in order to give you a real quick start into developing your own app. Some people did it on their own. And what they actually did is they didn't use any parallel processing. And while 1.85 seconds is okay in the mobile world, when somebody sits in front of the device, you can give it some instantaneous feedback, like compressing page or processing page or something like that. And then it no 2 seconds later, it flips over and displays the image. Good enough. Somebody scans a 10-page document and you put it all in a row, like this one specific customer did, you end up at 18.5 seconds on this device. And that's out of the world. Nobody will accept it using a smartphone. That's like one time to the moon and back. It's so long, 18.5 seconds. It's just impossible. There's all kinds of workarounds. Most of these devices have multi-core processors. There's so many smartphones out now with quad-core, 4-core processors. So we can make use of parallel processing in the best possible way. For example, when you take this scan of 10 pages, while the user spends a second and a half or 2 seconds to acquire, using the camera window, page number 2, we have enough of a time in the background to process the compression of page number 1, for example. And that goes on while number 3 is done, we compress number 2. And we end up, while number 10 is done, we only have 1 page left over to be compressed. And if you scan 10 pages or 1 page, the waiting time in the end will be the exact same, sub 2 seconds kind of thing, if you implement it in the right way. Providing instant user feedback, a little bit of displaying we are processing something and then less than 2 seconds later, here's the result, is absolutely acceptable. It absolutely is acceptable in the sense of take a look at our PDF scanner app, LuraTech's PDF scanner app, and make sure yourself that you like the way of how fast it digitizes documents, and I think that will be convincing. It sounds a little bit complicated to implement something like a multi-threading application, but again, the sample source code of LuraTech PDF Scanner is included in the package. Just we are encouraged to use it in copy-paste mode as much as you want. And in that sense, you end up with a still very low very short development time to create your own scanning app to offer to your consumers. Once again, in order to dodge the problem that your mailroom and your service company runs into 100% exceptions, embrace the trend and offer your own scan app. And I think I showed you how we did that with several customers throughout the first year that we have it in the market. And in case you're interested, just do the same. Contact me. My information is on screen here, email address as well as phone number. Contact me and talk to me about your project and your requirements, and we will definitely find a way to see and get you also the trial versions of the application, see how we can help you. I'm a little over time, so I want to close the presentation with this. Thank you all very much for your interest today. We still have a little room for answering some questions. But generally speaking, the official part of this presentation is over now. If you still have questions, type them in. I will be here for a couple more minutes. I see there's not many questions that came up throughout this webinar, so I want to pick at least one that's in here. And this question is about oh yeah, I was talking about projects we did, and I was talking about customers using our SDK. So what is it now? Are we offering an SDK solution, or are we offering services in order to implement apps? That's a good question. That's one of our customers of PDF Compressor asking, knowing that with PDF Compressor, we sell software and not that many services around that. It's a product that doesn't require that a lot. In this case, last year, we had both cases. And LuraTech is your partner, and we are glad to help you. If you do not want to use the SDK and an app development company in order to create your app, but actually if you can also inquire with us for delivering turnkey application based on our offering. So we limit that service really to what we offer, scanning apps and so on. Connection to cloud services, web services and so on is included, obviously, but we don't offer any arbitrary app development. We offer the services around our products in order to help you get a turnkey solution for your scanning purposes. Is it internally like expense reports? Is it externally like offering your customers a solution to send you documents that are good enough for your recognition needs? Okay, that's it for today. Again, thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Get in contact if you want. Again, contact information is on the screen. And talk to you soon in one of our next webinars. Thanks for attending. Have a good day, everybody. Bye.